Much has been written about the short life of one of the most famous Old West outlaws, Billy the Kid. In the immediate aftermath of his death, the volume of books, dime novels, and articles in publications like the Police Gazette were quite large. Authors were eager to cash in on the tremendous amount of interest in happenings west of the Mississippi by those in the population centers of the eastern U.S. The vast majority of information written in those times was quickly put together with more of an emphasis on sensationalism than truth or substantiated facts. One account even went so far as to claim that Billy the Kid had killed 21 people, one for each year of his life. In this video, I will attempt to assimilate as much accurate information as is currently available about the famous outlaw. Billy's early life is not well documented, but conventional wisdom says he was born in November of 1859 in New York City to Michael and Catherine McCarty, who named their first son Henry. His father died when Henry was young, and Catherine moved with her two sons, Henry and Joseph, to Indianapolis. When Henry was 12, while living in Kansas, Catherine was diagnosed with tuberculosis. She sold off her holdings and moved to New Mexico with her two boys. In those days, it was believed that dry desert air was helpful in clearing the lungs of victims of tuberculosis. Before her death, Billy's mom made sure her boys got an education, and he became an avid reader. A friend of Catherine, a Mrs. Truesdale, took care of Henry until he decided to go out on his own, and he began a life of aimless drifting and petty crime. He ended up in Arizona, and one day at a saloon, a local bully named Francis Cahill started roughing up Billy and threw him to the ground, and the two scuffled until the youngster was able to pull his .45 Colt revolver and shoot Cahill, killing him. It was his first time killing someone, and most of the witnesses considered it self-defense, and it is highly unlikely that a jury of the time would have convicted him. However, he panicked and quickly rode out of town, and thus became a wanted man, or more appropriately, a wanted boy. He headed east back to New Mexico and became entangled in a vicious struggle in Lincoln County, New Mexico. Lincoln County was a very large, virtually lawless parcel of land, roughly the size of South Carolina, with less than 2,000 residents. There was an ongoing war between two factions, both seeking control of the power and money in Lincoln County. One faction was known as the House, and the other was known as the Regulators. It was during this time that young Henry took up the alias William Billy Bonney. He had been going by the nickname The Kid, and the moniker morphed into Billy the Kid, which stuck for the remainder of his life. The Kid went to work for a successful rancher in the area, John Turnstall. Turnstall was from Great Britain and was aligned with the Regulators. John treated his young ranch hand well, and Billy came to have a great deal of respect for John, even looking up to him as a father figure. The local sheriff, William Brady, was employed by the House and did their bidding whenever asked. At the request of the leaders of the House, Sheriff Brady arrested Billy's mentor, Mr. Turnstall. Once he was unarmed, Sheriff Brady and his deputies shot him in cold blood. Billy was only 19 at the time and was greatly affected by the incident. He personally held Sheriff Brady responsible for the murder and vowed revenge. Sensing Billy's growing indignation, Brady arrested him on trumped-up charges. With nothing to hold him on, the sheriff reluctantly released Billy, but further incensed him by keeping his beloved Winchester rifle. Billy was further angered by the fact that he was unable to attend his friend John Turnstall's funeral. 6 members of the Regulators decided to take the law into their own hands and ambushed the sheriff and his deputy, George Heineman, killing both. This event turned public opinion against Billy, even though the 2 dead lawmen were blatantly corrupt. In the wake of Sheriff Brady's death, a new sheriff was elected, Pat Garrett. Garrett was ambitious and enjoyed the notoriety of his new position. He arrested Billy and had the local blacksmith make a pair of shackles and leg irons for his now famous prisoner, and put 2 deputies in charge of guarding his prized detainee. Garrett warned the 2 guards about their slippery prisoner, but they were confident that an escape would be impossible. In fact, one of the deputies, Bob Ollinger, said, quote, "Billy has no more chance of escaping than he does of going to heaven." End quote. One evening while Ollinger was away eating dinner, the other guard, James Bell, took Billy to the privy. Unbeknownst to Bell, Billy's hand was small enough to slip out of the shackle. He indeed slipped a hand out and hit the unsuspecting deputy over the head with the dangling chain. The 2 struggled, and Billy was able to get Bell's gun and shoot him dead. Ollinger's shotgun was loaded and in the corner at the jail, and when he returned, the kid shot him with both barrels. With the 2 guards dead, he made his escape. The governor of New Mexico Territory, Lewis Wallace, put out a $500 reward for Billy the Kid, dead or alive. 3 months later, Sheriff Pat Garrett received information that the kid was at a friend's house near Fort Sumner, New Mexico. His friend was Pete Maxwell, son of land baron Lucian Maxwell. Garrett talked with Pete for several hours on July 14, 1881, and the 2 were sitting in Pete's dark bedroom at around midnight that night. Unexpectedly, Billy showed up and entered the bedroom, but because of the low light, did not recognize Garrett. Billy asked twice in Spanish, "Quién es? Who is it? Who is it?" Recognizing the voice, Garrett drew his gun and fired twice. The first shot found its mark in the chest just above the heart. The second shot missed, but Billy the Kid was dead at the young age of 21. Was William Billy the Kid Bonney a vicious killer or a victim of circumstances who would fight for his beliefs and rights? Many believe that his main mistake in life was choosing the wrong side in the brutal Lincoln County War. He did kill 4 men, but many would say that circumstance and bad luck had more effect on the outlaw than an evil spirit. There's probably a lot of middle ground on both sides of such an argument. Suffice it to say that Henry McCarty of New York City led a short but adventurous life and was thrust into the historical spotlight of the Old West not because he sought fame, but because he was willing to fight for what he believed to be just and right. If you enjoyed this video, give a thumbs up, click on the bell for notifications of future videos, and most importantly, subscribe to the channel. As always, thanks for watching.